Mom and Dad, are you ready?
Today's word is stupendous.
You need some encouragement.
Stupendous marriage encouragement.
You need some inspiration.
Even those nights, sometimes we're both, it was great. I think for us, unfortunately.
High five, see you in the morning.
That's not what I was going to say.
You're listening to the Stupendous Marriage Show.
With our friends Stu and Lisa Gray.
Oh, loves that word. Stupendous.
The Stupendous Marriage Show.
Hey there, welcome to Stupendous Marriage Show. I'm Stu Gray.
Hey, I'm Lisa Gray.
On our show, we answer questions about marriages that you send to us at onair@stupendousmarriage.com or from our website at stupendousmarriage.com, where you look for the big blue button. We like answering your questions, and that's kind of what this show is about. So we're always glad to be here and just give the input and encouragement that we possibly can here on the Stupendous Marriage Show. So today, Halloween, yay.
Woo.
Oh, come on. We like Halloween in our house. We're a family that does Halloween, and that's a good thing, except when the costumes are not done.
Right, that's the problem. And I've been watching you work very diligent on yours.
My gosh.
Yours needs a lot more work than mine. And
yes, it does.
Well, but unfortunately, because it needs more work, I'm sitting back going, oh, he needs more work. I don't have to start on mine yet. I don't have to get the stuff done for mine. And now I'm feeling a little anxious about it because I still haven't gotten it done. And it's Halloween. And yeah, so.
Yeah, but you don't have that much to do. Yours is just pieces that you can find and get. And mine is building the thing from ground zero. And
yeah, should we tell everybody what we're going to be or no?
Yes.
Let me give a little backstory. I love Halloween, have always loved Halloween.
Why?
Because my birthday's the day after Halloween.
Yes, tomorrow is your birthday, the 1st of November.
So
All Saints Day.
All Saints Day, I'm a saint. And
it's so funny that you never were told that. You were always told, the other. It's Halloween.
Well, I was finally told that, because when I was little, I thought I was a witch, which was not a bad thing. Now it kind of has a negative connotation. Back then, it didn't, because we had Bewitched on TV, and she was a good witch, and she was lovely and nice and caring. And so I had long blonde hair. I had a black cat, and every birthday party was Halloween themed. So I just assumed I was a witch. And then finally one year my mom told me, you actually couldn't be a witch because you were born on All Saints Day. And that's the day that all the good spirits come out and basically run all the bad spirits away or something. And so I really cried. I wanted to be a witch. I was a wee bit naive. But anyways,
that's
so
funny.
It is pretty funny. Yeah, it's oh, goodness gracious. So ever since we had Dean, even when he was, I guess, his first Halloween, he would have been 2 months old.
Yeah. We
have dressed up as a family.
Oh, we started dressing up before he was born.
True. But it's much more fun with him.
It is. You're right.
And so every year we pick a themed costume. Our kiddo is now 13, and I know you have thought that he would probably, at some point in time, kind of be done with us and putting on costumes with us. But he's not. Yay!
I think we have one more year.
I think we have several because he really enjoys it, and it's fun. And he is generally always a costume that he could go out with his friends and still be that person, a character without us, So, but this year there was a movie that came out over the summer that highlighted a TV show that he has watched off and on called Teen Titans Go. And it's an animated TV show.
TEENTIDANS. Go. Sorry.
It's really sad that you know the song. And so we have decided we're going to be some characters from that this year.
He's Robin. I'm Cyborg. You are Starfire, the one with pink hair.
I'm Starfire, the one with pink hair and a purple dress. It's so exciting. That is where we are. That's what we're working on right now, and that's our life. And it's just very funny how we know the date. Halloween is going to be October 31st. Yet, here we are still frantically
working on getting it
running
done.
around.
Yes, right. Well, and usually we are ready by Halloween because there is a big festival in our area before Halloween, usually the weekend before, but we didn't do that this year. We were doing other stuff, so we just kind of put it off. We didn't use those extra days to our benefit. We just kind of kept procrastinating because we got other stuff going on.
So I know we have several listeners that do Halloween costumes and even do family Halloween costumes. If you do Halloween costumes, either, as a couple or with your family, we would love for you to post them on the Facebook page for Stupendous Marriage.
Yes, that would be fun. Facebook.com/Stupendous Marriage Show. That would be fun. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, we would love to see what you get.
And it's not everybody's gig. We get that. Not everybody does Halloween and not everybody's comfortable with that. But for those of us that do, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Emails coming up. We're glad you're here. Our email from onair@stupendousmarriage.com. We love getting them. Have we told you that? So you can send us yours. Here it is. Hey, I have a quick question. Is it technically a date if you don't have sex at the end? My wife and I fight about this because I would like dates to include sex, but she doesn't really want to have sex after a date.
That's a really great question. Would you like to talk about it first?
I think it's pretty cut and dry, at least for us. I mean, if a date has to have sex at the end, then I haven't been on like 98% dates with you. Because most of our dates don't have sex at the end because we don't do a traditional nighttime date. We don't do a date night since we work at different hours and, you're constantly going with real estate and I have odd work pieces and bits and I find time to squeeze in work. We don't do like the Friday night, 7 to 9 o'clock, let's go to a movie and dinner type thing or whatever is typical. So we do a lot of date lunches. We do a lot of finding time to hang out with one another during the day. And you are a quality time person. So any time with you, I'm assuming here, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. I would assume that you consider more of a date because you like to be with me and then also with Dean. So most of our dates don't end with sex. So my answer is it is a date. It is technically a date if it doesn't end with sex, but you need to have healthier communication around your wants and desires. So am I right in that regard about like hanging out and thinking that's a date, or am I just making that up?
I'm sitting over here with a big old grin on my face. I know you're waiting to see what I'm going to say. So
I am.
Do you recall that when we have had dates at night? We don't do that a whole bunch.
No, that is true.
But when we have had dates at night, do you recall literally having this discussion? I say discussion. It's been like the next day when we've been grumpy that night because you had a unrealistic expectation, or unconscious expectation, actually, is what the word I was going to say. You didn't even realize you had the expectation that something would happen. And this has been probably a couple of years since this has happened.
Right.
And I think now you've actually changed your expectations when we do have a date night out that you're like pleasantly surprised. I think you take more of that position if anything happens when we get home. And a lot of that for us is just usually like grandma's babysitting and we come home.
And that takes 45 minutes to get her out the door
because
you have a big long conversation with your mom all the time. So I'm like, I'll be over here in the corner.
Sometimes, she'll come and hang out with him. And I haven't seen her in a while, and so we'll catch up and all that kind of stuff.
Talk about this and talk about that. What's on the list for grandma and what does she have to do and this and that and what's work like. And sorry.
But sometimes she will just leave because she has work or something the next day. And even those nights, sometimes it was great. I think for us, unfortunately.
High five, see you in the morning.
That's not what I was going to say. I think that our generation is a generation that a lot of us are self-employed. A lot of us are more entrepreneurial minded. We don't go to a factory and work from 8 to 5 every day and come home. And we've been that factory in that schedule for 30 years. And we literally have a Friday night date. And it's just like routine. And then you go out to dinner and you go to a movie and then you come home and you hop in the bed together. I think that was kind of the vision for dating. I don't feel like we're like that as much. I know so many people that go on coffee dates. They go work out at the gym together and then go have lunch. Like, they spend time together. I think part of it is because they have the flexibility with being self-employed. And I think other people, they have to work around their crazy schedules. I mean, we've gotten a lot of emails from people who are opposite schedule workers. You know what I mean? So they kind of squeeze in dates where they can. So I think dates and having intercourse should always be two different things.
That's interesting, because I like to associate them together, but it doesn't always work that way. And it might be a pipe dream to think that a date always leads to sex. And there are probably lots of people who do have traditional jobs who listen to us. Mm-hmm. You were saying that, our generation, there are blanket statements on both sides. Mm-hmm. So you have to find for your marriage what works. And the big deal here is expectations versus reality. And I've been reading this book from Gary Smalley, Make Love Last Forever. He talks about expectations and reality, and I talked about it a little bit in the email I sent this past weekend. But what happens is you get unrealistic expectations, and it doesn't match up with your reality. And the bigger the gap is between your expectation and the reality, the more upset you are. So you have the issue with not having sex at the end of your date, and that is an expectation that you have over on one side. The reality is you're not having sex most of the time on your dates. Now, how do you get those expectations and reality to come closer together so the gap is closer together? Well, you either change your expectations, which we talked about, which I have more in my life because I know that most dates probably aren't going to end with sex, or you change the reality by changing your conversations. You actually express what you want in a healthy way to your spouse. You say what the reality is. You say what you would like to see happen. You invite their input and what would work for them. And you then move both of those together. So you either change the expectations, you change the reality, or you change both. So they come closer together. So there is less of a gap there, and you can actually be more satisfied in your relationship and what's going on in your life by either eliminating the expectation, changing the expectation, or changing reality. And definitely you can change both.
Previously, I know in our relationship, it's kind of like a wolf. I don't mean this badly, and I think it's a wolf that it's this way. They say that if you run into a wolf in the woods and you're afraid, they can tell that you're afraid. They feel that fear, and then they get more aggressive with you if you're afraid than if you kind of like, I'm not afraid. And it may not be a wolf, but just, you hear that kind of analogy about animals, and they kind of sense your fear. Guys, women sense if your object of hanging out with us and spending time with us is just to get us in the bed. We sense that. On an unconscious level, we can tell that your motivation is not to spend time with us, not to get to know us, to care about us, to hear what we have to say, but it's all about like, hey, is she done talking yet so we can go have sex? I don't necessarily think this husband's doing that at all, but I'm just saying that if you're going into every date with that expectation, your wife can sense that, because men receive oftentimes love through intimacy. Women, that's not the same thing we think. We want somebody to hug us and say, I love you and you're beautiful and I care about you and what's going on in your world and you matter to me and I've got you and everything that's going on is okay and feel secure and all those things. And so there's a mismatch here oftentimes, because a man comes, especially if he's coming into a date with the expectation that, hey, if I just go spend a little time with her, then that means she's going to give me something.
Well, I mean, that's been kind of the storyline of dates.
Sure.
The storyline is, hey, you go hang out for a couple hours and you're going to have sex.
Right.
The storyline of culture is you go on a date, you have sex. You go on a date, you have sex. And so if that's all you're doing during the week, if you haven't connected with your wife for all the other hours except for those 2 hours that you're going to have dinner on whatever night you decide, you're going to have issues. You're not going to be having sex because you haven't connected with her with all the other hours in your life.
Absolutely. And that's the motivation of your heart. It's all about your heart. If the motivation of going and spending time with her and the underlying expectation is once we go on a date, then we're going to go have sex together, then you're going to approach that date differently. What if you approached the date? Remember when you were dating and you guys were not having intimate relations yet and you were really just spending time get to know each other and to hear each other and what is going on in your world and what's happening with you and not talking about schedules with the kids and all the things we generally talk about day-to-day life, but really dig in deep with each other on an emotional, intimate level. Then if at the end of it, you guys end up connecting physically, that's great. But if you don't, man, what a great night, a great time for you guys. And it's like you're putting in a deposit of her feeling loved. And it may not manifest itself that night, the date. But if you keep depositing into her that she's loved and you care about her and it's not just about the physical act, it's going to increase her desire for you. And she's going to want to go and be with you in another way.
So do you consider it a date if there is no sex at the end? You can let us know on air at stupendousmarriage.com. You can comment on our website at stupendousmarriage.com. This is episode 167.
I just want to say there's no right or wrong answer. Like everybody should do the same thing. It really has to be what you and your spouse decide on what a date is. Some people like to schedule it, so hey, let's go on a date and schedule sex afterwards. And that's the thing, is just figuring out what works for you guys and knowing that setting really good expectations on the front end that are clear is the best thing you can ever do.
And talking about your reality and what you want out of your relationship and what you want out of a date in a healthy manner with your spouse.
Absolutely.
I think that's it for today. Thanks for hanging out with us. See ya.
Bye. Yeah.
Like the show? Like the show.
Yeehaw.
Share the podcast. Tell another couple.
Hold on. Hold up.
So today. What? What do you guys do on a date? We would love to hear from you on... What?
We don't know what they do on a date, but... Okay, let's start over. Yeah.
Like the show? Like the show. Share the podcast. Tell your married friends.
Yeah.